This is the most intense lighting ever. But I feel this is the best that I can do with the resources that I have. Can we just have a moment for this makeup? I heard that 2016 is the new 2026 is the new 2016. So I decided in absolute glorious fashion that today be the first day where I was feeling okay when I woke up. I've had a chest infection for the past week, so I've been struggling. But because it's the first day since I woke up that I felt up to something, I was like, I'm going to try and do my makeup like how I used to do it when I was in 2016. I'll post a picture like next to me of similar eye look. But I absolutely feel like I smashed it. Like, what? This looks incredible. I am actually in love with it. And I'm like, why did we stop doing our makeup like this? Why did we stop having so much fun and expression in makeup? Like, what? Anyway, you're going to have to deal with my glasses because otherwise I can't see you guys. And I don't know what the quality is like. And I also won't know if I'm in frame, which is honestly my biggest worry right now. If my voice sounds slightly weird, what is this piece of hair? Just looks like it's been electrocuted. Can we try and get rid of it, guys? Tell this piece of hair to fuck off. Whatever, it's not that deep, not that important, it's fine. Right. Gonna crack on, pretend you don't see this hair. Guys, it's actually driving me nuts. There we go, perfect, much better. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jess and today's video is going to be my January wrap up. If my voice sounds particularly feral, if my voice sounds particularly disgusting, I do apologise. I am still super congested. I'm feeling much better than I was this week, but it's been a rough couple of days getting through the work week. So yes, also this light is very intense. I'm so sorry, I probably already mentioned that. But there's no other option really. I wish I had something to go over it to kind of add a little bit more shadow. So it's like bright but a little bit darker. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Instead, you've got a glossy, kind of sweaty looking me, but it is highlighter, I promise. Woo. Okay, I know, guys. Let's jump straight on into my January wrap up. I'm so excited to speak to you guys about everything that I have read and speak about it and just have a great time. Now, I have read quite a few books this month and I finished the month halfway through one book. I say this month like I'm not already in February, a whole week into February trying to film this. Anyway, here is what my finished book stack looks like, and then here is and then I've got one book which I was partway through at the end of January. So we'll talk about all of these. I'm very, very excited. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these, what your opinions were, whether they're the same as mine or if you dislike them. I love to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions because I think reading is so personal. Everybody's looking for something different and everybody's thoughts and opinions matter. Let's be honest, they matter. Okay? I don't know why I've got such sass today. I'm just going to sort out this light because it's pissing me off how like sweaty I look in the camera. Is that better? I feel like that's better. It's a lot less intense and also it's not hurting my eyes as much. Jeez. Okay, let's jump right on into this video whilst I still have a voice because I have had no vocal cords for like the whole week, so let's jump straight in. The first book that I finished at the very, very start of 2026 was A Reign of Rose by Kate Golden. This is the absolutely stunning very special editions. Now, my partner gifted me this trilogy, the entire trilogy, as my birthday present back in on the 1st of December. So I devoured this whole series. I absolutely love it. I own 2 paperbacks. I have the paperbacks as well as these special editions, but these special editions are just absolutely stunning. They're so regal. I really love them. The end paper art is not my favourite, but I do still really, really love it. And I could not make sense of the hardcover design until reading the books. This is what the hardcover looks like. It's absolutely stunning. Now, these books follow a at the very beginning of this series, sorry, there's so much that goes on in this series, I just had to think about whether I was going to give you a spoiler then. Okay, at the very beginning of this book, we follow a girl called Oren. She is someone who works as a healer within her small town in the middle of the countryside. Now, she is a healer in this town, but their kingdom is currently at war with the Onyx Kingdom, but she believes that the Onyx Kingdom king is at war with them for no reason at all and is quite selfish, cruel, mean. That's what everybody in her kingdom assumes. And I think the one thing that's super interesting about this story is that, if I show you guys the map, is that the Onyx Kingdom is all the way here, and then the kingdom where she lives is all the way at the bottom of this territory. So it's very interesting to see. And I would say the one slight plot hole in this whole series is not quite understanding how the soldiers from Onyx are killing and attacking and full at war with the people from her kingdom, the kingdom of Amber. It's a little bit confusing because it's never fully properly explained, but I guess because we are in our main character's head, she's not really a most reliable narrator, because she obviously doesn't know everything about the world. We do then split into two POVs in the second and third book, which I absolutely loved. And basically, we follow Oren as she gets taken because her brother abdicated her position and stole from the Onyx army, and they come looking for her in their they come looking for him in his home, where he has run to prior. And she and Oren had run back. Her and her family decided when her brother arrived that they would try and escape and cross into a different kingdom. I think they were going to the kingdom of they were going to cross the sea and go to the kingdom of Garnet. Now, the reason why they wanted to do that is because that's what their brother said they had money for. They had the money to get the passage over. They would be out of the war, and he therefore wouldn't be able to be traced for his crimes of abdicating his position in the army. Now, upon his return home, they decide that they are going to go through with this. However, her mum is very, very, very severely ill and has been their whole life. And her daughter has been making these remedies that have helped her mum stay alive as long as she has, and helps her feel a lot better than she has been feeling for the longest time. As they are leaving and they are part way to the ports, she realises that she has left her mother's medication at home, and she decides that she is going to sprint back to the house and grab it and then come and join them at the ports. However, things do not go as planned. When she goes back to her house, there is a whole group of Onyx army soldiers waiting for one of the people to return to the home. And they obviously ultimately want to kill her because her brother has stolen their coin and stolen something from them. However, she ends up healing one of their soldiers, and they then kidnap her into the kingdom of Onyx, and that is where the story begins, where she meets a prisoner in the dungeons while she is having a panic attack, and we kind of see their story, and then we see the story unfold from there. I really loved this series. I thought it was really great, fast-paced series. This last book really, really went well for me. I enjoyed it so much. I've been so disappointed recently by last books in series. So, I think in 2025, I literally was terrified of reading last book's series because I kept giving them such low ratings. So I was so happy to give this a high rating. I think I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored this book. It was just so good. I really loved the series. I thought it was such a great series. There was plot holes in the series. I'm not saying it was perfect, but in terms of like escapism, loving for the characters, caring for the characters, and to be honest with you, there was such a massive point in this whole story where I just did not know how this was going to end. It didn't feel like anybody was going to have the ending that I wanted them to have, and in some ways we don't get that, but in some ways that was the best part about the series, in my opinion. I absolutely loved it. I am so happy to own the Fairy Loot special editions of this series, and I am very much excited to read Kate Golden's next book that's coming out, which is coming out in this year. I think it's coming out in April, and I'm just very excited to give that a go as well, Half City, and I just think I'm going to love that as well. I really enjoyed Kate Golden's writing. It's nothing too complex, it's nothing too much, it's just the right amount, and I absolutely loved it and enjoyed it so much. Now, if I'm completely honest, after finishing that book, I was in such a massive reading mood, as I always am after a 5-star read, and I really didn't know what to pick up next. So but I finally decided that I was going to continue and read another book that was the second in a series. No, I didn't know where to start next. However, my best friend was reading had started reading the This Woven Kingdom series by Tahara Mafi, and she had been telling me the whole time that it was so good, and I just felt so jealous that she was loving a series and I was loving my series. And then I was taking a break, like a couple of days off of reading, and she was just really raving about this series, and I just knew I had to pick it up next because I knew we both owned it. So I decided to pick up This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. I really enjoyed this. I absolutely flew through it. It wasn't what I was expecting. I knew I would fly for a Tahara Mafi book because I have read the Shadowy series, and I've read it more than once as well, and I have flown through those books like within a week very, very easily. I have never finished the Shadowy series though, guys. I still technically have like a few books I've never read, so I do need to get to that at some point. So I knew I was going to love her writing, and yet again, I did really enjoy her writing. I will say this was very confusing to get your head around to start off with. And not necessarily confusing, but as in you weren't told enough to pick enough of the story up in terms of the world for the longest time. However, yes, I remember now. It kind of all evaporated. In this story, we are following our main character, Eliza, and she is, although I believe the audiobook calls her Aisha, so Aisha or Eliza, it's spelled Eliza, so take what you will from that. We follow our main character, Eliza, and she is a long lost, what am I trying to say? She is the long lost heir to a Jinn kingdom. Now, it gets quite confusing because we have two kind of races. We have two collectives of people in this story. We have the Jinn and we have the Clay. Now, the Clay are humans and the Jinn are what our main female character, Eliza, is. And she has like magical abilities, and she can disappear. Now, she doesn't know the extent to her magical abilities. We don't know the extent to her magical abilities, to be honest with you. We don't really understand how they work. We just know that there's two types of people, and in this story she is a servant, and she has a really, really, really rough life. She is worked until she is like bleeding and blistered, and it's very like it's quite cruel, the treatment of her, but the treatment of all Jinn, they are viewed to be people who are worked. They're beneath the clay in this world, and she is a long lost heir because basically a long time ago all of the Jinn were killed, and the remaining Jinn ended up scattering amongst different kingdoms in this world, and she has stayed hidden as the heir to this Jinn kingdom for the longest time, and we don't really know, and that choice was to protect her, but we don't know what we are trying to protect her from. And then she so we follow her on her day-to-day kind of interactions between people until one day there is a poor beggar boy who tries and threaten her with a knife to steal her belongings because he is starving and he is so hungry, and she basically is really good at self-defense, which I love, and she kind of puts him to the floor, but then she gives him this opportunity, and she says to him, look, if you're hungry, come to this house at this time and I will spare you some food, because she's going to basically collect it from the person that she's working for and give it to the boy, even though she shouldn't really, but it's the scraps from the kitchen that are being thrown out, like half a loaf of bread and things like that, which mean a lot to people who are beggars in this world, which is obviously a lot of food to go to waste. So she does that, and unbeknownst to her, watching this all unfold, watching this whole interaction unfold, is the prince to the Clay Kingdom, and his name is Cameron, and Cameron basically observes all of this and is so convinced that she is a hidden servant that's come from another kingdom to spy on his kingdom, and the whole story unravels from there. Building and building and building, the world continues to build. We kind of learn a little bit more about the Clay and the Djinn and what makes them so different and why they dislike each other so much. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think I rated it 4 stars. I'll put I really enjoyed it. I thought it went really quickly. It wasn't the longest book at all, but it is like almost 500 pages, so it's pretty long, and I got through it quite quickly and I really enjoyed it. So that was another great read to start off the year. After that, I had 2 back-to-back great reads, and I was honestly thinking, ooh, where's this gonna go? Slightly pear-shaped, because I normally don't have this much luck. And then I ended up picking up The Rebel and the Rose by Catherine Doyle. There is something about Catherine Doyle's writing, and this is the situation with all 3, I think, of the first authors that I have picked up for the year, being Kate Golden, Tahara Murphy, and Catherine Doyle. One of the things that goes alongside all these authors is their writing style. I just love it so much. Now, this book continues on from the Dagger and the Flame story, and I believe that this is going to be a trilogy from what I know. So this is the second one. I do have the Waterstones exclusive edition. In the first book, we follow a girl called Seraphine, and she is basically fleeing after her mother is killed by one of the orders from the city of Phantomine. Now, I think I've just called it wrong. Phantom. In the city of Phantom. And she is fleeing to the city because her mum told her that if ever there was a problem with her, she should run to the Order of Cloaks and be initiated into this order. Now, in this world, they use a resource that's known as shade. Now, the Order of Cloaks use the shade in their kind of garments and their clothing and things to give them extra kind of powers and things like that. So speed, power, like being able to cloak the darkness and pull the darkness towards them. So that is one order, and they tend to feed and steal for their clients. And then the other order is the Order of Daggers, and they are an order of assassins. But instead of wearing the shade, they consume the shade, and this leaves a mark on their physical body and on their soul. The more shade they consume, the less kind of, I guess, emotional and humane they come across as being. As Sarah is entering the Order of Cloaks and travelling through the city, she makes the attention of the head of the Order of Daggers, who then demands that one of his daggers, called Ransom, goes and assassinates her, basically. So he was made... And we start the story there. They are definite enemies to lovers. It's epic. I loved it. The first book I really enjoyed. The second book I really enjoyed. The second book was really tough because the world got bigger, but I feel like we needed a little bit more. I do feel as though the ending was a little bit quick, so I didn't rate this as highly as I was first anticipating. However, I devoured this book. I think I sat down for 2 occasions and read the book. So I sat down twice and read the whole book in 2 sittings, which is, again, incredible. And I really enjoy this. Like I said, her writing is really good. And as soon as... Oh, I was going to say a spoiler then. It's so hard not to spoil anything. This book starts in a different kind of way to the first book, but it's still really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. I can't say much more than that, which is why I'm giving you the synopsis for the first books in series. Even though I'm showing you 2 that are like series finish, one that's a series finish, one that's a series continuation, but I can only really talk about the first book in the series. So yes, but trust me, this was a really great addition to their story. I really enjoyed it. The world really expanded, which I enjoyed, and we also got to see a lot more purpose and reason behind the decisions that were made in this book, I felt. So I enjoyed both. The next book that I picked up and I had been listening to audibly for most of January was Bury Our Bones in a Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Again, this is one of my thoroughly special editions. I am actually going to be passing this edition on to my friend, but that does not mean that I did not enjoy this story. I really did enjoy it. It definitely reads more as a literary fiction. I'm not sure what this was advertised as, but I have a feeling it was advertised as like fantasy, but it's definitely reads more as a... I was just checking to see if it says. It definitely reads more like literary fiction-esque. Now, I absolutely loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I can't actually find where I put it on my shelves. Where is it? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's not important, but I absolutely love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I haven't been interested in any of the other books by her, and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I think I only loved because I listened to it audibly. So it was important to me that although I was interested in this book, I knew I would possibly not enjoy it reading it physically because it would be quite slow. And I would say I was absolutely correct in that assumption. I definitely think I had way more enjoyment reading this audibly on my commute to work. However, I genuinely liked one character so quite a lot more than the others, and I think that made my feelings towards the book very complicated. I got quite fed up of quite a few perspectives, and I have spoken about this in a vlog, so if you catch up on my reading vlogs, I'll link it up in the cards. Then if you're caught up with that, then you'll know how I feel about this book. I am passing this special edition on because I don't feel very strongly about this story anymore. I listened to it, I enjoyed the story, it wasn't a bad story, but it's not one I feel like I need to own the special edition of. And to be honest with you, I don't think I would miss it not having a copy of this book on my shelves, because I don't have a paperback copy of this at all. I think it's a 3-star read. I felt as though the ending was a little bit unsatisfying for me personally, but it wasn't a bad ending by any means. I think just by the end of the book I was feeling a little bit indifferent. I really do feel as though we could have shortened this book quite a lot. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm not someone that reads a lot of like literary fiction-esque books, so please don't take that to be a massive criticism, because I do feel like this is a genre outside of my comfort zone, like a writing style that's outside of my comfort zone. So I would take what I say with a pinch of salt. I don't think I'm the best audience for this book. However, the story was beautifully written. I do absolutely love how V.E. Schwab writes and can tell a story. She is an expert storyteller. However, for me, this just wasn't very memorable. And honestly, like I said, I loved one character more than the rest. And I just don't think I need to hold on to a gorgeous fairy loot edition that someone else would absolutely love to own, who loves V.E. Schwab books. So I'm going to pass it on. I'm actually passing it on to my best friend because she really wants to read it. And she's very curious about V.E. Schwab's like backlist. So I'm excited to give this to her and let her have a read. Now, I'm going to read the synopsis from the book this time, because with all of the perspectives in the book, I don't want to give you guys a spoiler that isn't in the synopsis, because there's so much that we learn throughout the story. So I want to read you guys the synopsis instead. This is a story about Hunger, 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada. A young girl grew up wild and wildly, and Maria knows she can only ever be a pawn in men's games. So when an alluring stranger offers an alternative path, Maria makes a desperate choice. A story about love, 1827, London. A young woman lives a cloistered life at her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her slipped off to London. Once there, a beautiful widow offers Charlotte her freedom, but at what cost? A story about rage, 2019, Boston. College was supposed to be a fresh start. That's why Alice moved halfway across the world. Then an out of character one-night stand leaves her questioning everything. Alex throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. This is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts again. I really enjoyed it, guys. I did enjoy it. I just don't, like I said, the 3-star rating feels harsh, because I say like when I was listening to the audiobook, it was maybe like a 4-star, but upon reflection, like it doesn't have much. I don't feel very much for this book. which is also why I am totally okay passing it on. And then the last book that I completely finished in the month of January was The Dark Lord's Guide to Dating and Other War Crimes by Tiffany Hunt. Guys, I love this. This was such a good time. This was such a good time. I cannot speak to you guys enough about the comedy, the humour. I just loved it so much in here. It kind of gave me reminiscent vibes of Assistant to the Villain, which is another series that I really, really enjoy. However, just more comical, a little bit more fast-paced. I really enjoyed it. I liked that there was a plot to go alongside. I just found it all hilarious. I loved the romance and the chemistry between our two characters as well. It is a more forbidden romance, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a super hate to love. I would say it's more of like a... I know it's sold as a hate to love, but I feel as though because they don't really know of they know of each other, but they don't know each other, I feel it makes it less so of a hate to love. I'll read you just the first 3 sentences on the back. Step 1, kidnap someone cute. Step 2, force them to marry you. Step 3, don't catch feelings. I loved this. It was a longer book, but I just genuinely obsessed with it. It was so good, so comedy forward. I really enjoyed it. You may say it's a little bit cliche, a little bit cringe, but I genuinely, this was exactly what I needed. Something that was light, something that was funny. I could definitely see myself picking this up and rereading this as like a light reread. I really enjoyed this, and I really like Tiffany Hunt's writing as well, so I'm very happy with this choice. I'm pretty sure this is sold as like a romance, but basically we follow a dark lord called Black Rose, and he kidnaps a... I just love this. He kidnaps Lady Arabella, which gives you such Bridgerton vibes, I know, and forces her to marry him. Now, in this forcing him to marry her thing, he was hoping that he would get like a very submissive bride who would just help him complete his plans of world domination. However, she, when he puts a sword to her throat, threatens him instead, and he kind of realizes, oh, she's on. Like, they really enjoy that about each other. They love that kind of like tension that they have together. I will say he is such golden receiver, guys. Like, he definitely falls first in his story, and I think I love that. I think that's what made it so compelling and to read, and what I loved the most. So would highly recommend this book. So I would highly recommend this if that's something that you're looking for. It's not a book that takes itself too seriously. It's fun. It's so fast paced, and also like the characters are just so down to earth and so honest with each other that I love it. So yes, full works for me. I really enjoyed this. It was great. It was a lovely way to end my January. Also in January, I started to read These Infinite Threads by Tahara Mafi. If you haven't watched my Get Ready With Me video, I'll link it up in the cards as well. I talk about my reading goals in that video, and one of my reading goals is to read series closer together, and I started reading this in January, but I ended up stopping. I stopped halfway through. I think I just needed a bit of a break because I had read quite a few fancy romances. Not that that's going to stop me from reading more in February, but I have so many good things to say about February already, guys, and I'm only a weekend, so I'm so excited. Yeah, I was halfway through this, and I didn't touch it for like the last 2 weeks in January. I think I just needed a break from the story, but I am really enjoying this series, and I'm excited to continue and hopefully finish this book and the next book, because I do have, and hopefully all this Twisted Glory as well, because I did put it on my February TBR. So I'm very excited to read the rest of this and the rest of the books in the series that I currently own. This hair, man. Oh. this in frame, there we go. These are all of the books that I read. These are all of the books that I read in the month of January. I read a grand total of 5 books and half of these twisted threads. I would say that is a massive success. What a way to start out January. I had so many 5-star reads this month. Lots and lots of high ratings. I think my lowest rating was a 3-star. I cannot complain at that at all. I'm so happy. I'm absolutely overjoyed with my reading from this month. And I'm so excited for February. And I can already tell you guys that I have already finished more than one book. I've already finished more than one book. I've already finished 2 books, and we are only 6 days into February as I'm filming this, and I am just in such a reading mood and I'm loving everything right now. And I'm making the funniest reading vlog right now where I cannot stop gushing about a book but I'm not allowed to tell you guys, and then I'm literally regretting not making a whole spoiler filled video for this book that I'm currently reading because I'm so obsessed. And I just cannot say anything else, but I love a new reading year. It just gives me so much hope and so much excitement, and what a way to start off the year. And I'm still absolutely loving reading in February as well, because I feel like sometimes we can get readers burnt out or like just be indecisive with what we read, but I'm so happy, guys, honestly. That is everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let's see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys all in my next one. Bye.